and a warm welcome to today's webinar on Co-operative Director Changes, filing annual returns and audited annual financial statements using XBRL. My name is Elma Pinkham. I'm working in the Corporate Education Unit and I will be our facilitator today. The presentation section on Director Changes will be presented by my colleague Simon Vignani, and I will do the part on annual returns and XBRL. During the webinar, you are welcome to post questions related to today's topic only under comments. We will respond to these questions after the presentations. The people who will answer the questions are our colleagues Aubrey Murifi, Letty Skosana, and Aaron Moyo of the Cooperatives Unit. If you have questions that are not related to the topic, please log an inquiry on the CIPC website inquiry system or send a message on CIPC Facebook with Messenger. The recording of this webinar will remain on YouTube should you wish to view it later again. Before I hand over to Simon, I just want to make you aware of a Learn IBIS educational course, which is available on our website. It's there to assist new and existing SMME company directors to gain knowledge of their duties, responsibilities as directors, and ensure compliance to governance requirements. The program is free of charge, and anyone who is interested can register on the CIPC website to access the course. One can follow the course in your own time and at your own pace. If you would do the session in one sitting, it would probably take you between 2 and 3 hours to watch the videos and answer the questions. Persons that attended the course can obtain a certificate of attendance after completing the course. Please note it is not an accredited course. The website address is www.cipc.coza and you'll find it under resources. If you have any inquiries, you're welcome to send it to elearning@cipc.coza or phone the CIPC call center. With that, I hand over to Simon Vignani.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Vignani from Corporate Education and Voluntary Compliance Unit within the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. My topic today, it will be on Cooperative Director Changes. And then thank you very much. Without a waste of time, I'll look on the cooperative director changes. The first slide is it says that the reference during this presentation that refers to the Act means the Cooperatives Act 14 of 2005 as amended. Section 32 to 39 of the Act refers to governance of cooperatives and bears references to directors and changes to directors. Now let's look at record keeping because it is very important and then it's also compulsory for all co-ops to keep record keeping. Now a co-op must keep the following records at its office. The first one is accounting records. Accounting records refers or includes all business transactions with members and non-members, constitutions and rules and amendments thereto, minutes of general meetings and directors' meetings. If the co-op has a supervisory committee, the minutes of supervisory committee meetings must be also kept. Remember that the supervisory committee was introduced in the 2018 Act. So it means that a co-op can appoint a supervisory committee, and then the work of the supervisory committee is to supervise or look after the affairs of the board of directors. They just want to, they are there to make sure that the board of directors do their duties. So it is also very important to know that before you appoint a supervisory committee, it means that you need to, if it's not included in the constitution, and then it means that you need to amend the constitution as well. So the other thing is the list of members, register of directors, register of directors and employees' interest in contracts or undertakings. Now, one of the important thing again is the accounting records and financial statements must be kept for a period of 5 years or longer than that. And then we know some of the receipt they failed, and then in the process, and then I will encourage or advise the co-op members to make copies of the receipt and then keep them. A co-op or a director who fails to comply with record keeping requirements is guilty of an offense. So it is very important for directors to take note of that. Let's look at the membership changes. One must distinguish between when a cooperative member withdraws his or her membership due to resignation, expulsion, or death, and when there are changes to the board of directors. In cases where a membership is withdrawn, there's no need to submit a co-op 2 form unless that member was a director. So now if a member was a director, obviously if they withdraw their membership, then form 2 must be completed, co-op 2 must be completed and then sent to CIPC. But if it was just a member of a co-op, then there's no need for a cooperative to send a co-op to CIPC. It is important to note CIPC only keeps a record of the founder members' details to prove the original application to register the cooperative comply to the requirements of the Act from incorporation. So what we do in CIPC is that at the time of filing a cooperative, we keep members at that stage, the initial filing. So we keep records. So members that comes after or join the co-op after you've registered a cooperative. So you keep those members in the office. It means that you must have a register where you can keep the names of those members, and obviously you will just have to update it every time when you are joined by members. So now the list of members must be kept at the registrar's office is what I explained now, and is proof of who are currently members of the co-op, as well as of the members that have withdrawn their membership from the cooperatives, because we often see co-op when the members new members comes in, then they send the co-op to CIPC. So just make you aware that there's no need for you to do that. So what you need to do is just to keep a register in your office and then update it as you are joined by new members. So now if a new member joins the cooperative after registration that he or she is not a founder member, and CIPC does not need to be informed, is what I explained now. So let's look at the background cooperative directors. So the board of directors is responsible for the management of the cooperative and is accountable to to the members. So day-to-day responsibilities is of or management of the cooperatives. It is the responsibility of the board of directors. So the board of directors is appointed at the annual general meeting by the members. And then it is very important to know that only members may be appointed as executive directors at the annual general meeting. And then these directors have voting rights at the board meetings. Associated members may only be elected as non-executive directors and do not have the voting rights at the board meetings. So now, it is also important to note that in terms of Section 32, subsection 4 of the Act, if a vacancy arises, the board may, by way of resolution, appoint director for the remainder of that period, provided that appointment is approved by members at the next general meeting. Members may dissolve the board by special resolution if members find justifiable good reasons that the board is not functional. The special resolution must be taken at the meeting convened by at least 25% of members, or if a supervisory committee exists, by the supervisory committee. So now, in other words, is that this board of members, they can be actually at the meeting if you have reasonable reasons that the board is not actually doing its work, and then the members may be able to dissolve the board of directors at the special resolution. So now, the number of directors and the period for which they are elected is stipulated in the cooperative constitution. That's point number one. And then in terms of Section 39 of the Act, a director is required to inform the co-op in writing of any change to his/her address. In return, a co-op must notify a CIPC in writing. Writing of the following: the full names, address, ID number of each person appointed as a director within 30 days of such appointment, of any change of address of a director within 30 days of knowledge of the change, after any director has vacated office within 30 days of such vacation, and of the reasons of the appointment of or removal of a director. A co-op or a director that contravenes any of these provisions is guilty of offense. And now let's just quickly look at the step-by-step guides. Co-op Form 2 and the supporting documents for director changes. So now the step-by-step guides can be accessed from our website, that is www.cipc.co.za. If you look on the on our homepage, you'll be able to see that the yellow arrow, and then the arrow is on the resource. So once you are on our homepage, then you can click on resources. Then you also click on, you see that yellow arrow, and then where we circle the cooperatives on red, then you see cooperative. Then you click on the plus sign. So once you click on the plus sign, then you'll be able to see the step guide for manual change of directors of cooperatives. It's the fourth one on that, if you see on that slide. Then you click on the guide for assistance with the application. So now, once the form has been completed, and then once you've actually attached also the supporting documents, those forms can be sent to coop2@cipc.co.za. And all these emails relating to cooperatives are also available on our website. You can also check on our website. The information is also available. And then take note that there's no fee payable for co-op or director changes. It is free of charge. So now the following information has to be completed. You need a customer code. We use it as a reference when you file these changes. Name and registration number of the co-op. The name of director or secretary or manager or officer who signed the co-op form 2, and the form must be also dated. It is also very important to also have a letter of consent to the appointment of a director. It must be also submitted. And the director is required to state that he or she is not disqualified to be a director in terms of the act or the constitution of the cooperative. And then that the director listed in the second table have not been reappointed or have vacated their office for other reasons. All active and new directors' details must appear on the form Co-op 2. The details include the following: full names, surname, identity number, date of appointment, home address, postal address, and demographics. The number of directors must at all times be within the minimum and maximum number as specified in the cooperative constitution. Clearly certified ID copies or passport of all new and resigning directors must be submitted. And then the certification must not be older than 3 months. Only one ID or passport may appear on a single page, but the smart ID must be copied on the same page. Only valid issued passport will be accepted. And then take note that the asylum seeker temporary resident documents will not be accepted as a valid confirmation of identity. So now for the commissioner of oath, full names and surname of the commissioner of oath must appear on the documents. The business address, signature, date of certification, designation. Police certified documents must also indicate the police officer's rank and their rank number. So now the information is required to ensure the commissioner of oath is traceable for accountability purposes. So now, if this is not included on that commissioner of oath, obviously CIPC will decline the application. Minutes of the meeting. Minutes or resolution taken at the meeting have to clearly state either change of name, surname, change of postal address or home address, appointment resignation, removal, death, or end of term of a director. Minutes must be signed by the chairperson present at the meeting and certified as a true true copy. Now, the other thing is that with a deceased director, if a director is deceased, a death certificate must be also submitted. If a death certificate cannot be acquired from the family, the cooperative is required to apply for a copy at the Department of Home Affairs. On the Co-op 2 form, the section regarding directors that have vacated office must be completed. Voluntary resignation. The director must provide a signed letter of resignation and a certified ID copy. The name and the resignation number of a cooperative must appear on the letter. And on the Co-op 2 form, the section regarding directors that have vacated must be completed. It is very important. Change to director information. If the first name, surname, ID number, physical address, or postal address of a director has changed, the minutes must be specific about the changes. All the director details on a Co-op 2 form must be the same as that on the record with CIPC. The CIPC record will not be changed if the minutes are silent on the changes, even if the Co-op 2 form and CIPC records differ. So now the other thing is that we no longer do verification processes as CIPC. So the onus is on the cooperatives to prove that the correct process of removal was followed. That is on removal of directors. You must remember that there is a difference between removal and then resignation, normal resignation or voluntary. Let's say voluntary resignation, when a director resigns from a co-op, and then when a director is removed from a co-op is another process, and then whereby the necessary steps must be followed to make sure that you actually comply with all the requirements. So now a notice of the meeting has to be circulated as a record date 14 business days before the meeting. It must reflect the following: date of notice of meeting, the date of the meeting, time, place, and general purpose of the meeting. Reasons for removal if you remove a director. As I have indicated that there is a resigning process and then a removal process of a director. So reasons for removal of a director has to be stated in the minutes and on the Co-op 2 form. Minutes or resolution taken has to clearly state that it is an expulsion or removal of director, as well as proof that the director was removed, was afforded a reasonable opportunity to make a presentation. On the Co-op 2 form, the section regarding directors that have vacated office must be completed. That is also important. The resolution must be passed with a majority of directors present at the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my slides, and then I'll now hand to Elma Pinkham, and then to continue with the presentation on cooperative annual returns and XBRL. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Simon. Yes, I know we've done these type of presentations before, so it seems like a repeat, but we want to make people aware, especially on the annual return filing and XBRL, that there's dates planned for which these things will be implemented. So we want to make you aware of that. The Act make provision for primary cooperatives to be categorized in A, B, and C. All secondary, tertiary, and the national apex co-ops also fall in category C, but they have their own annual fees. Co-ops use these categories to determine their voting rights, the annual fee amount specified in the regulations that they need to pay, and what documents to submit to CIPC annually. Regarding voting rights, category A and B co-ops, primary co-ops, have a one member, one vote, whereas category C primary, as well as all your secondary co-ops, your tertiary co-ops, and your apex co-op, may provide in its constitution that some members have additional votes if a co-op has 3 or more members. Then annual submissions and the annual fee payments. The regulations to the Act make provisions for annual fee amounts payable to CIPC by the different categories of co-ops. The annual fee payments is not related to SARS tax payments. The planned implementation date for the fee payments is 2 January 2023. So it's just about a little over a month, then you'll have to start paying these fees when it is your date. The fee amounts differ from the amounts paid by companies and close cooperations. Annual fees are paid in terms of the amount of annual revenue the cooperative made during the previous financial year. Reference to annual revenue or turnover means it's the gross value of economic benefits received by a co-op as a result of its ordinary activities in a financial year. It's important to note that the fee due date is 30 days of a registration anniversary date of a cooperative. So if your co-op was registered, let's say in the middle of January on the 15th, then you have 30 days from there up to, in other words, the 14th of February to pay your annual returns. The annual fees for the different categories. Category A and Category B pay the same amount, but the Category A cooperative mean their annual revenue is between 0 and 1 million rand. So even if you didn't have any annual revenue during the year, you must still pay your annual fee of 50 rand. Should you pay late, you're going to pay an additional 100 rand as a penalty. Category 2A, their revenue is between 1 million rand but less than 10 million. Then category B primary, the revenue is between 10 million but less than 25 million, and their annual fee is 450 rand, and if they need to pay a penalty because they pay late, it's 600 rand additional. Then the annual fees for category C primary co-ops, meaning co-ops that have an annual revenue of 25 million rand or more, they pay 3,000 rand, and if they pay late, they'll also pay additional 4,000. Then the annual fees for secondary co-ops, tertiary co-ops, and the national apex, if their revenue is anything from 0 until but less than 25 million, they'll pay 450 rand. Penalty is 600. And if they have a revenue of 25 million or more, they also pay 3,000 rand. And if there's a penalty, it's 4,000. Then it's important to note which documents each co-op have to submit to CIPC annually. A category A co-op submits a co-op form 7 and a co-op form 8, which you'll find in our regulations. You can find it on the CIPC website as well. To do financial statements, they complete a co-op 15.1, and the directors will draw up an annual report. We'll look at the content of that later on in the presentation. The primary co-op A2 have the same forms, but for financial statements, they must submit a co-op 15.2 form, and their directors will also do an annual report. Then category B must, over and above the co-op 7 and 8 form, also submit a co-op 4 form. That is for the appointment and changes of independent reviewers. So their financial statements must be reviewed by an independent reviewer, and this person will also do an independent reviewed report for them. Then the primary C co-ops, as well as the secondary, the tertiary, and the apex co-ops, they also submit the co-op 4, 7, and 8 annually. They submit audited financial statements, therefore they need an auditor to audit the statements, and they'll submit an audited report by their auditor. So let's see what kind of information must be included in the annual report. For a primary A co-op, the documents are prepared, as we said, by the board of directors, and it contains the financial statements, a social report, and a management decisions report. A social report is a report that assesses the social impact and ethical performance of a co-op in relation to the stated vision, mission, and goals stated in the Constitution. And they'll also do a management decisions report, which is a report that assesses the co-op's compliance with all the legal requirements and requirements in its constitution. So it's always important to know what's in the Constitution as well as in the Co-ops Act to be able to draft these type of reports. Then a category B primary co-op will do an independent reviewed report. You need an independent reviewer that you appoint if you're category B co-op, who will examine and evaluate the financial statements, the social report, and the management decisions report. An independent reviewer means an accounting officer in terms of a Closed Corporation Act, who is a registered auditor, or a member in good standing in terms of Section 33 of the Auditing Profession Act. Category C primary co-ops, as well as all your secondary co-ops, tertiary co-ops, and the national apex, will also submit an audited report. So they must now have an auditor who will examine and evaluate their financial statements, their social report, and their management decisions report. When these documents are submitted to CIPC and the forms, it must be emailed to coopsfinancials@cipc.coza. Please note it's co-ops and financials, both plural. Then if we get to annual submissions and ixbrl, cooperatives that are required to be audited, meaning your category C primary co-ops, as well as all secondary co-ops, tertiary co-ops, and the national apex, will in the near future be required to submit annual financial statements via the ixbrl program on the CIPC website. ixbrl usage will be available also for independently reviewed annual financial statements, meaning category B primary co-ops. However, it is not mandatory for category B co-ops. The ixbrl pilot filing project kicked off on the 1st of April this year and will be completed by 1 January 2023. The project monitors the system, how the system works, and the challenges that customers experience with the system. So please take note, for these category C co-ops and all secondary, tertiary, and the national apex, it will become compulsory to file the financial statements by XBRL from the 2nd of January 2023. The CIPC embraces the international financial best practice and the impact of the use of ixbrl when submitting annual financial statements online. This has already been implemented for companies and CCs. ixbrl is an inline extensible business reporting language for electronic communication of business information, which was developed to improve the communication of financial data online and is used in a number of countries. ixbrl simplifies how people use, share, and analyze financial data. It's basically a computer language that is required to transfer the audited annual financial statements of category C cooperatives to CIPC. ixbrl allows XBRL documents to be presented in a format that is readable by both computers and humans. Digital reporting in the ixbrl format assists businesses to file their annual financial statements while moving from paper or PDF reporting to a more structured format. If you have any queries, you can go and look at the frequently asked questions and answers on our website. You'll find it under ixbrl program. You can also send any queries you have to xbrl@cipc.co.za. Please note that any queries regarding cooperative applications or financial statements and annual returns and annual fee payments can be sent on our website. You find it under the query resolution system under inquiries, and you log your call there. Your applications for Co-op 2 forms, the director changes, are sent to coop2@cipc.coza. The Co-op 3 form and the Co-op 4 forms, which is your change of business address and appointment or change of auditor or independent reviewer, are sent to Co-op 3 and 4@cipc.coza. Please note it isn't and, it is and between 3 and 4. Your annual reports, including your Co-op 15.1 and 15.2 forms, can also be sent to the Co-op financials at cipc.co.za. We want to encourage you to regularly look at CIPC's website notices for any new developments and requirements that CIPC may have for applications. With that, we have come to the end of our presentations, and I want to hand over to my colleagues, Aubrey Morifi, Letty Skosana, and Erin Moyo to answer questions. Thank you very much. Let me just see. The first question says, I have a problem. I'm part of a co-op and I want to resign, but I cannot find all the directors. Please help me because I have been sending relevant documents, but no help.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Thabo, for the question. In terms of the procedures to follow, if one would like to resign from the co-op, those procedures have actually been stated or indicated during the presentation, where members of the co-op or directors of the co-op have to come together also to take a resolution to either to resign, but there are also challenges wherein people would indicate that I am not able to secure other directors of the co-op. In such cases, what you can then be able to do, you can still complete your Co-op 2 form. But remember, on the top Co-op 2 form, the most important part will then be to complete the form in full, and also indicate on the second part where it states that directors that have vacated office, then you need to complete the details there, and then you can also put in the resignation letter. And then once that is done, you can then, or the other thing that you need to submit is a certified copy of your ID, and then you can then submit that through to the email that has been provided, which is coop2@cipc.co.za. And the other thing that I would also like to state, which was also indicated during the presentation, is that if, for example, you would like to follow up on your query or your submission, the procedure will then be to send through or to log a ticket via our query resolution system, and then we can then be able to promptly assist with the query. Thank you.
Okay, our next question, how do you change an executive member to non-executive member? Director, sorry.
Remember, with the Cooperative Act, it actually makes a provision for founder members as well as directors It's not similarly like with companies where you've got executive directors, but in terms of the co-op legislation, remember, we've got founder members. Founder members are those that formed part and parcel of the co-op during the incorporation. I think that was also indicated during the presentation. And also remember that as long as you are involved with the co-op, your status will remain as a founder member. But if you are just a founder member and then you'd like then to be a director, you can also complete that information on your co-op 2 form. On the first part where it indicates the active number of directors, and then your details can then be completed there. And then as well as the resolution and the ID copies should also be submitted. Most importantly, as Simon has also indicated during the presentation, if in terms of IDs, if it's the green ID book, then we need a copy of that, certified not older than 3 months. And then if it's a smart card ID, then we would need both the front and the back of the card on one page, and that should also be certified and not older than 3 months. Thank you.
Okay, we have a director who resigned, and we have proof of acceptance via mail of his resignation, but he refused to provide a certified copy of his ID. How do we go ahead to remove him?
In terms of the presentation, as it was indicated, you also need to submit through a resolution, and that resolution need to be comprised by at least 75% of the membership, as it was actually stated in the during the presentation. Once that is that, you put that information on the co-op 2, and also indicate that the members have opted to remove a member in terms of special resolution. Thank you.
The next question says, have you changed forms for director or member amendments? Where do we insert the Commissioner of Oath details on the Co-op 2 form?
Please note, we have actually changed our form codes with the implementation of the amended COP Act, which we replaced the old CR forms with the new co-op forms, in this case with the co-op 2. But remember, in terms of Commissioner of Oath details, that information, you do not have to stamp the form itself. What is actually needed to be stamped, it's actually the certified copies of ID that will be supporting documents when you submit through your co-op 2 as well as your resolution. Thank you.
How to change the status for members to directors, and what are the requirements?
I think this question is actually similar to the one that we've answered previously, but I'll just repeat in terms for ease of reference for Ernest. As I've indicated, the Co-op Act makes provision for founder members, which are people that have been there when the co-op was incorporated or it was registered. And then it also makes provision for the directors, which are the people that are going to manage the affairs of the co-op. And once, remember as well that as long as you are involved with the co-op, your status as a member, it would not change unless you then you completely resigned and have nothing to do with the co-op. But if you are a member and then you would like to move in to be a director, You can complete that information in the co-op 2 on the first part where it indicates the active directors of the co-op, and then your name should also be included there with the active directors. And then that information should also be stated in the resolution that will be submitted as a supporting document, as well as your ID and other IDs of other directors. Remember, you also need to put in a letter to accept appointment to be a director in the co-op. And then once that form is completed in full, together with the supporting documents, then they can be sent through to co-op2 at cipc.co.za. Then we'll promptly respond accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may just add to what you've said, Aubrey, that people also remember a person who's a director is actually having two hats. He's a member still, but he also works as the director with a running of a business and taking decisions for the co-op. And of course, he or she gets elected at the general meeting of the co-op. Okay, our next question, a member got married. What is needed to update the surname of such a member?
In such cases, you can, also send through an email to that co-op 2 information indicating clearly the name of the co-op, the registration number of the co-op, as well as a certified copy of the ID of the member, and then we can then, update the records accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, how to remove a director who has disappeared? He actually moved overseas and we have no communication with him. It's been 5 years. How do I remove him?
Aaron, you can respond.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. To remove a director, you have to complete Form Co-op 2, and you have to also attach the minutes, and the minutes must be accompanied by the notice. Where the proof that you gave the director would be the chance. You notified the director about the meeting, and all the active directors must also appear on Form Co-op 2. I hope I've answered the question.
Okay, our next question, what is the turnaround time for amendments?
In terms of turnaround, our turnaround times have actually improved in the days. In terms of turnaround time, that is actually published on the website. It's 3 days turnaround, our standard turnaround time that is actually on the website. But at the moment, you can still submit through your amendment and it can be processed in 1 day. Thank you.
Okay, can CIPC also share any changes on the e-services to banks? Because cooperatives have difficulties on things they don't have control over. I must admit, I'm not 100% clear on the question, but Aubrey?
In terms of that, usually if there's any changes either with our legislation or any process changes that affects maybe the output that we produce as CIPC, either with our certificates or with any of our documents or the COP form, COP1 form. We do regular collaborations with different stakeholders like our banks, as well as South African Revenue Services. That information has been collaborated through so that customers do not have should not be experiencing any challenges whatsoever. But if you still experience any further challenge, what you can do, you can just log through a ticket, and then we can just deal through with the specifics of what your challenges are, and we can then be able to see how we can be able to assist. Thank you.
Okay, the next question says how to change the director from an individual to a trust. I don't think it's applicable. You can't change a director from an individual to a trust.
No, in terms of conversion processes, CIPC conversion processes, we can convert from a co-op from other entities, other juristic persons, such as your companies and so on. But in terms of a trust, no, we don't do that, do those ones. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, how to remove a deceased member if his or her family refused to give us the documents for the deceased. Then it means the co-op, I think we did said it in the presentation, must go to Department of Home Affairs and request a certificate of death from the department itself and then submit that as part of the application. Next question.
Okay, that seems to be the last question related to today's topic. So that's about it, yes.
Okay, I just want to make people aware, if you want copies of the slides, you can send email to elearning@cipc.co.za. We will send you a copy of a presentation. We will also have the presentation and a recording of a webinar loaded on our website under webinars within a few days. We also want to make you aware that there's a great possibility that we'll have another webinar in December. So please keep your eyes on our website for and our Facebook for any advertisements in this regard. Thank you very much for joining us for the webinar. We hope it was of value to you, and we hope we see you again at our next webinar. Have a great day.